Andrew, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. Welcome everybody to, well, for me, late night Loot Town Square. We changed times this week because we have a few projects that we want to, give some love to and hear from our friends on the other side of the world. So I'm very excited to meet and talk to for the first time and hear from the Loot Explorers team. I see Kai is here, and congratulations on your launch, your mint launch yesterday and today. Welcome.
Yeah, nice to meet everyone. Finally. Yes, hi. Luna too. Hi, Luna.
And Luna too.
What time is it for you guys? It's 1 p.m. right now. Nice.
Oh,
Where are you based again? Kuala Lumpur. Nice.
It's in Malaysia.
Well, very nice.
A global call today. Yeah, that's the theme of tonight. I think global builders is our theme tonight.
That's right.
And we've also got the HyperLoot crew who's going to hop on here and present what they're thinking about and working on. I'm really excited to see this. Andrew, you can keep introing, but yeah, just agreed. This is a global call tonight.
Yeah. I was gonna end with that and say welcome to the HyperLoot team as well. Tandavas, Victoria. Let's see who else is here.
That would be me.
Yes. What is your name? I see HNK. What should we call you?
My name is Heron.
Heron. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, thank you for having us and changing the time for us. We're in Thailand, and it's noon right now here.
Oh,
Beautiful.
Perfect. Yeah, no, absolutely. We, I think, Tim Shell and I, our regulars that join this call, and the broader Loot community is excited to hear from both of these teams. We've been following your progress for months, and, yeah, we're just excited to meet from you and hear from you and see what you're working on. So
I'll throw us a quick agenda just so that folks can hear what's coming tonight. We're going to focus on the Loot Explorers launch and really give you all a chance to go as long as you want, sort of presenting the story and where you are and where you're going. We're going to talk about some of the other ones that just launched, even if it's just a quick 30 seconds around the horn. Loot Punk just launched. Banners just launched a couple of days ago. There's some that are still minting that we might touch on, Crypts and Caverns and 3D Rings, and some others. And then we're going to pop into a coming soon section, starting with the HyperLoot team. I don't know if the team from the Crypt is on, or the Rift Crystals team, which we heard from last week, or anybody else who's working on something. That's a great opportunity to hop in and tell us what you're working on, whether it's seeds of an idea, whether it's content, media, writing, art, or a game or a project or whatever else you're doing. And then just open discussion about Loot projects, Loot developments. This week was actually a surprisingly rich week with a lot of stuff going on. There was a funding proposal, our first ever Loot funding proposal. There's a website guiding principles discussion to have. There's a Divine DAO update. There's some canon discoveries. There is a demo day tease we can talk about. And there was even a tease. I'm going to mute somebody here. There you go. Thank you. There was even a tease from Dom about a quest. He's been working, at least conceptually, in the background on a quest. And he just teased out last week in the Corruptions Discord some thoughts about it. And I'm going to leave it there for now. And then beyond Loot, like always, we can open this up to just general Hyperverse discussion. I know a couple people reached out to me about projects that are inspired by Loot and inspired by this sort of Hyperverse movement of builders. And so open mic, open discussion if we get that far. It may be late for the East Coast team, or I guess the East Coast America team, but happy to go along. Happy to keep this flowing, and I think mostly we want to hear from the Loot Explorers and the HyperLoot crew tonight, and we'll fill in around you. So I think let's do it. Kai, do you want to kick us off?
Hey, before we get started, just a reminder for everyone to use the general channel for any text chat during this call. You can post questions in there, share comments, that sort of thing. Thank you.
Okay, sure. I guess we'll kick things off with our project Loot Explorers. So let me just turn on my screen share and you guys let me know if you guys can see it. Right.
I see it.
Oh, I think I'm on the wrong screen. Let me go to the front. Yep, here. Yep.
So we'll start then. Hi, I'm Luna. I do art, music, and UI. And here's Kai, he's our community and project manager.
Yeah, hi.
So what is Loot Explorers? 8,000 Explorer characters based off the first 8,000 original bags of loot. A loot visualizer. So we were inspired by the original loot bags and wanted to imagine the characters would wield these items. After we designed the characters, we added other elements such as biomes, allegiances, and other world-building stuff. The art style we're going for is something cozy, cute, with a medieval RPG spin. Sort of like a pastel RuneScape or Valheim. So we've been getting a lot of questions about our project, most commonly if we're a game or an animation. While we're heavily considering going into that direction, for now you can see us as more of an art-driven character creation project, essentially a loot visualizer.
Yep. So what is our vision? It is to explore the world of explorers through art, music, and interactive experiences. And I think a good example of that will be something like our website, which has a lot of interactive and moving elements that people can explore and click on. So we've done things like including a puzzle, a codex that people can solve as part of our whitelist contest. And I think if you guys have visited our website recently, you'll notice that it recently changed into a snowy theme just for our launch. And even in our previews, like you see here, the Laguna, we've tried to incorporate music and art, to immerse people deeper into the Explorer world. We've introduced fun characters like Earl over here, who is the face of our community, and we've also tried to expand the universe through lore previews and breakdowns. So a cool thing about all this is that everything we've revealed so far ties into the actual design of the Explorers themselves. And now I'll let Luna explain a little bit more about that.
Yep. So what makes up an Explorer? A good way to look at an Explorer is like referring to a D&D character sheet. It has a lot of different parts like skills, features and traits, classes and races that all make up a single character. And you can even add a backstory for your own Explorer if you'd like. And we took importance in how we were going to create asset flexibility while still retaining the key elements of loot. For example, each Explorer will belong to an allegiance, right above the Explorer's head. And that is determined by the most common suffix that shows up in your loot bag. We also added a bunch of different races, each looking a little different from each other to express their personalities. Also some biomes, the backgrounds the explorers stand before. And we plan to compose as much music as we can to go with each piece of lore, as we think it really shows the overall vibe of the scene, and we want the community to feel like they're immersed in the realm too. Next slide, please. This is a breakdown of the Loot Explorer sheet from start to end. It took a while to make. It has every element deconstructed and organized to show its different variations, excluding special designs. So the image was too large, so we'll drop one in the outpost for anyone to check out later. And next up we have collaborations.
Yep. So one of the first few collabs that we've done is with the Banners project. So shout out to Cajun for reaching out to us on this. So we were lucky enough to be included as part of one of their milestone giveaways, and in return we thought, why not we just make things more interesting by creating 3 custom banner explorers to be used in that same giveaway. So on the right here you can see the concepts which are based off actual banners and how these look like on the special banner explorers themselves. So for anyone who's interested, be sure to support the banners project so they can hit their milestone, and you might just win one of these special explorers just for yourself. I think another collab that we've been working on is the one with Genesis Loot. So eventually, we'll want to support minting using Genesis loot bags to get Genesis Explorers. So over here in the design, we've created 16 different hits, each corresponding to the 16 original orders of the Lootverse. So on top of that, we've also introduced a new special Genesis temple background that will only be available for Genesis Explorers. So if you look at this GIF over here, it's just a short preview of existing GAs, and these are generated off actual Genesis loot bags. So if we ever release our integration soon, it'll look something like this. And lore-wise, we've also tried to connect the dots on how the 16 orders eventually evolved into the 4 allegiances found in the Explorer. So, we did all this while staying true to the loot's foundational lore, and even maintaining light and dark attunements of the orders. So we are actually quite tied into the timeline of the Lootverse. So that's all we've got to show so far for our collabs, but in the future, we definitely would like to have more collabs with other projects in the Lootverse in similar fashion. So anyone who wants to reach out to us, feel free to send me a message for that.
Kai, can I just hop in with a huge +1 on that last one?
Sure.
Just want to call out, hey, I'm getting goosebumps because this has been my dream with the Genesis Adventures from day one. The idea of being able to see these Genesis Adventures resurrected from day one into all these different sort of modern day circumstances. This is just beautiful. But mostly I wanted to call out for other folks who are building. This Loot Explorers team has been nothing but kind and open-hearted and open-minded, and so thoughtful about the way that you're tying your strategy and your model and your thinking to the original Loot foundational lore and just the wider Lootverse. We talk about building together, and we talk about building collaboratively, and how Loot is not a FOMO NFT project. It's a collaborative media experiment and a global movement, and you guys just embody that. And so I just wanted to call it out, say thank you, and say good luck with this, and also we've all got your back.
Yeah, that means a lot to us, honestly. Yep. So.
Oh yeah, about our roadmap, we're still working on it. We get a lot of questions about it, but some of the things we're talking about are airdrops for Explorer holders, expanding the Explorer's realm through world map or lore pieces, plushies, maybe even a game. So if you like the direction we're heading in, we do try our best to keep up this level of work in everything we do, if it's collabs or future plans for a community, so stay tuned. Oh, also, minting for our project is currently in its second phase, which is for the people on our whitelist. So if you're interested in our art and you want to explore for yourself, public sales will be starting in about 12 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, see you guys there. Yes.
Thank you so much for having us and taking your time, as Heron said.
Yep. This is going to be a short one on the project, so yeah, that's all for us.
Yeah.
How about let's do questions, comments, reactions, and maybe even some live mints from folks on the call here.
Oh, yes. Let's do that. Anyone has any questions for our project, whether it's art, whether it's our mint, we can probably answer it right now.
I don't have a question, but last night when I was minting mine, I found the music so pleasing that after I minted, I had my headphones on and I was working on some other stuff. And like 2 hours later, I realized I was still listening to that melody from the mint page. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been listening to this for 2 hours. It's so great.
Yeah, I hope the minting experience was smooth for you.
Oh,
it seems like
great.
It was great, and the website and the whole just the whole experience was so nice.
So
Nice.
glad.
It took longer than expected, but only because I started poking around the interface. There was all the things to click on. I had seen you guys talking about the Easter eggs, but I hadn't really checked it out for myself up until I was ready to mint. And so, I started clicking around. I was like, awesome. And then the thing hidden behind the ice or the glass
Yeah.
that you guys were talking about
That's
earlier in the week. And so, yeah, I started playing around with everything, and so I was in there for longer than I expected to, but overall it's a great experience.
Wait, did you figure out what was underneath the water? Did you guys reveal that, Kai?
Yeah, we revealed it to the people who were trying to solve the puzzle. So it was
Oh.
actually for our whitelist contest, one of
Oh,
our
I
whitelist
see.
contests.
Okay.
Yeah, but right now it's still up on our website. So if anyone who wants to try it out, to try to crack the code, although you don't get anything from it, it's still a fun game that you can try, and it's still on the website even right now.
Are there updated hints, or like where can we go? Did you guys release any extra hints that we can dig back up to help us?
Okay, I think if you've opened the codex itself, the puzzle, there's like 4 different symbols that you have to input.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so all the symbols can be found on our website, so you have to click around to look for that. So,
Okay, I got it.
but for the color, I think there's a color sequence that will go together with the symbols. We hid those in our Discord, so through our channels, based on where you find the symbols. So, and obviously, I'll just drop one right now, which is we hid one of the hints in our FAQ page on our website. So what you have to do is you have to look for the color in the FAQ page on our Discord. So it sort of correlates on both ends on our website and our Discord. So where you find the symbols, you'll be able to find a color in the same category in our Discord, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so it's still up. So if anyone is down to try it, feel free to go and try to crack it.
Oh, great. That means not only am I going to be trying to crack that tonight, but then I'm also going to be listening to that melody for another 2 hours while I'm making code.
We might just release more. Yeah, we might just release more songs so that maybe it's more variation.
I don't know. I love that melody. I don't know where you guys got that from, but it's quite nice.
Yeah, Luna made it actually. It's yeah.
Wow.
Props to Luna. I've been listening to the melody for the past week or so. Still not proud of it yet. Fellow Malaysian here, by the way, Kai.
Oh,
Wow.
Really happy
nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
your project.
So our team has 3 members in it, but one of our members couldn't make it today. He is the programmer. He did everything on the website.
Yeah, and our contract.
Give him our congratulations as well. Really
Yeah.
happy to see the successful meme.
For sure. Yeah. Any other questions regarding our project? Minting, art, future plans.
I got a future plans question.
Yeah.
A lot of the movement these days within Loot and CCO and just the general sort of on-chain movement is around building in a way that others can build on top of. What's your thought on that for your project? What kind of visions and hopes and dreams do you have for how other people may build in and around your project, both with these deliberate collaborations, but also with just open creativity? How does your project sort of fit into that narrative? And also no harm if it's more like your own sort of singular roadmap. Just curious how you think about it.
Yeah. To be honest with you, we haven't really thought about it that far. And we are not aware, or we're not sure if people would want to build off our project, because seems like it would be, I don't know. We just never really thought about it. So, but I think if anyone is willing to build on top of us, I think it's an opportunity that we could explore. And yeah, we are open to it. We're definitely open to it. Although it's rather unclear right now.
One thing maybe to throw out is that you guys have put so much thought into the tie-in to the canonical lore of Loot, and the connection to the 16 orders, and just the way that the Loot Explorers fit into the meta timeline and the rest. Maybe you guys could translate that into something that's a little, I don't know what the word would be, but something that can be added to Loot.Foundation as sort of suggested canon coming, that's being built by the community. Because you guys have put so much thought, just like the Banners team have put so much thought into the evolution of the lore, the evolution of the canon, your own invented creations, which are so thoughtful. And if we can make those accessible to others, maybe they're not building off of Loot Explorers as a primitive, but maybe they're taking the Loot Explorers classes and concepts and applying those to writing and art and other collaborative media that comes out of this ecosystem.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so I think if there's no more questions, I'll pass the floor to the amazing HyperLoot team, and they can share a bit more about their project.
Would you want to share this presentation too in the general channel?
Sorry?
Would you be open to sharing this presentation in the general channel too?
Yeah, I'll just drop a link for it so everyone can view it.
Nice.
Sweet. Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thanks, guys. Great to meet you too.
By the way, amazing work, Kai. I love everything you guys are doing. The website, the art, the music, all of them are amazing. Especially the puzzle on the website that is challenging and fun. And I like how the website, like you can click on multiple elements and things kind of pop up. So that gives a lot of game-like experience. That is really nice. Love it.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, we were trying to play into that exploration theme, so we want to click around and find things. Yeah, so really appreciate those words.
Yeah, we are a big fan of you guys.
We are a big fan of you guys. Yeah, so I guess we are both inspired by each other. Turns out.
Yep.
Okay. I'll pass the floor to you guys then.
Let me pull up my screen. Yeah, I think it's up now. Give me 1 second.
Okay. We are very excited to be here today because we'll be telling a lot of our project and revealing a lot of stuff. And again, congratulations to the Loot Explorers teams on the launch. We didn't launch yet, but we are really excited. So we kind of understand how excited you guys are right now. And so first of all, this is our new logo. Our project is HyperLoot. We've started since, I think it's been 3-4 months now. Yeah. And so first of all, we want to give a little introduction of our team. So my name is Harriet, and I'm in charge of the back end and the smart contract. Okay.
And I'm Kandawas. I basically do design front-end engineer. I and Hayden have been doing web for the past 9 to 10 years now, and we just jump into NFT world, and we are really excited about Loot. So we jump in, and we want to build something cool of it.
And Vic, you want to say hi?
Hi everyone, I'm happy to be here and really nice to meet you everyone, and I'm so nervous because I didn't speak English for a long time. I'm Vic and I'm a digital artist for over 10 years. I work with the animation, game, mobile game and character designer for entertainment industry. I have worked with Netflix animation, illumination for Minion, and Leica animation and deep work as well. And also, I really love the idea of Loot, and I started explore the NFT space in the beginning of this year, and so much fun. Thank you all.
I'm hearing someone's microphone on.
Yeah,
Okay,
I muted a few people. There also might be an echo from one of you.
Oh, okay. Can you?
I'll keep paying attention. I'll try to keep muting if we get anything weird.
Thank you. So, all of our team are active on Twitter, so you can just come say hi. We will definitely reply all of you. And just to go into a little more about Vic's art past works, he's mainly in digital art and concept design. So we brought three past works of his to just show you how things have become in his career. First is The Wish Dragon, which is on Netflix. Some of you might have watched it, I believe. So he started with on the left, and on the right is what it became. And we have Kina. It's a PlayStation game. On the left is his character design, his designs, and it became a full PlayStation 5 game. And next is Clash of Clans commercial advertisement. He had a part in doing the concept design of the advertisement itself for the mobile game.
So basically, with our artists, take the concept of an idea and turn it into a full functional art and a full functional product. And we are excited to see like how HyperLoot will grow bigger from here and how other people will use HyperLoot to build something big. And we think that our assets and what we are building have a lot of potential. So before diving into HyperLoot itself, we want to step back a little further, and then we want to see things in a bigger view, and also we want to make sure that the new people here who just jump into Loot House Square, that who doesn't have much of the idea of what Loot is. I basically wrote a thread about Loot a few months ago about how Loot is approaching the way of building NFT in a different way by building it a bottom-up approach. So we are really fascinated by that, and we wanted to enrich and continue to create something out of Loot. So we are not, if someone asks us, what are we actually doing? Are we doing profile picture? The answer is no, we are not doing just visualization. We are not doing just the profile picture. We are actually building a building block. If you think of it, HyperLoot and Loot is like a Lego, and Loot is at the bottom of the bottom layer of the Lego, and we're just building another Lego on top of Loot. So we are building on top of Loot, and we hope that we can stack things up and make the whole Lego to become bigger. However, we're not the only one. As all of you might have seen already, there are Loot Explorer, there are Loot Character, there are Loot Swag, and there are multiple other cool projects that are building on top of Loot. We're just another piece of the jigsaw, another piece of Lego to build on top of Loot. And what we are trying to do is that we are trying to expand Loot ecosystem. We are providing stuff like 2D asset and 3D asset as well. So the things that you have seen so far on our social media are mainly 2D assets of the visualization of Loot, but we are actually doing 3D assets as well. But if you can see that we are not trying to build our own thing, we are trying to create an element, we are trying to create a piece of jigsaw that help Loot to grow bigger. So whether it's 2D asset, whether it's 3D assets, whether if there's anything that we can do, whether it's music, whether it's like animated film, if anything, we are going to do it. So we are not building for ourselves, we are building to make Loot bigger. And if we take a look at bigger view, we understand that Loot is a basic building block, and we are just another block on top of it. And what we are trying to see, our vision is that we are building a building block that allow other people to build on top of us. So we build on top of Loot, and we hope that others will build on top of HyperLoot as well. And in order for that to happen, we understand that it's really difficult to build something on top of another thing without the tools and the things and resources that help you to build something. So we are not only just building the 2D and 3D assets for HyperLoot, but we also build tools, stuff like the library of JavaScript, Swift package for building iOS app, so that people can just, if they want to build a game on the website, or if they want to build a game on iOS, they can just include our package of libraries of code, and then they can just they can just call a few lines of code and then pull up the asset that we are building for them. So they can just build app in like seconds instead of days or months. And on top of that, since we understand that our asset will be the final version of it, and some people might want to make their own version of HyperLoot or make their own version of Loot. So we are not only providing the tools like the programming libraries for others to build, but we are also open sourcing every single thing that we build, including the Photoshop file, the vector file, and stuff like that. So that think there's noise. I think there's some noise.
Yeah. Who's this? How?
Huh. You guys are still getting noise from that one? I muted that one. I'm not hearing noise.
Okay, I think it's gone now.
Okay, cool.
Sorry.
So we are also open sourcing our source file, the arts and everything as well, so that people can use the art and edit it and make it their own version as well. So they don't actually have to use the HyperLoot, the final version form, but they can basically manipulate our stuff and use it as well. And we are giving them the NFT as well as the HyperLoot itself, so that people can, let's say if they want to build an app, the NFT of HyperLoot can be used as a token gated access to the app as well, and they can access the network of the HyperLoot community. So even if they use our source file to build something else, they can still use our NFT to let people access into the app. So with all these three tools that we built for them, we hope that someone else or some other projects will be using our tools and resources to build something cool out of it. And we hope that we can help expand Loot. And at the end result, so we basically we are going to create the assets for Loot using a HyperLoot, right? And we are going to create value to HyperLoot community itself. So we are not only just build the building blocks, but we are also picking up those building blocks and build it ourselves as well. So even though if no one uses the building block that we built, we are also using it ourselves. So we might build a game, we might build Hyperverse, but we will see. We are not promising anything, but we are definitely going to use it to build something. And as a result, in the bigger picture, we can see that if someone built like a pop-up picture or Hyperverse or a movie or game, stuff like that, it will create the value to the whole community of Loot, not only just HyperLoot. So we are actually helping Loot to grow bigger and providing more value to it. And we understand that in order to allow someone to build on top of us, there is things like licenses that come in. So we are going to make HyperLoot as a public domain, a CCO for every single thing. So you can use it however you like. You can sell it. You can make personal projects. You can use anything of it. You can take it and sell it as well. You can do basically anything. We just want people to use what we built, and we want Loot to expand further.
Okay, so we've been going through our concept and vision. Now, what about the HyperLoot's art? What's been going on? So we did a lot of updates on our art. Like Vic has been working hard on this. And if you see, this will be the final NFT for HyperLoot. So going back to the traits of the loot bag, we have 8 different, let's call it traits for now. We have 8 different traits, and in each trait we have 6 different number of items. Each item has a different format. They may have a prefix, they may have a name suffix, they may have a suffix, and they may have an addition of +1. Now, in order to visualize this, can you close your mic? Okay. I think we're echoing. Okay. So we have visualized the prefix into different symbols and the suffix into different symbols as well. Now, for the name suffix, we are going to make them color combinations with the prefix. So it's echoing your...
Give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, we were echoing each other. And for the HyperLoot customization, so on top of the loot and loot bags, we wanted to put some fun mechanics into it. So we are introducing 3 different traits, which is eyes, face, and background. And so that's how our overall HyperLoot will become. And for these different traits, we wanted to kind of let the community join us in building HyperLoot. So we started this event called The Face, Name the Face, and join HyperLoot's metadata journey. So when you suggest a name, and the team will pick the best 5 that we believe will go along HyperLoot very well. And we bring these 5 names to vote on our Discord, and the ones that get the most votes actually will be joining HyperLoot's metadata. We do not have randomness. All the rarity will be depending on the people who will be minting HyperLoot. So if we go to our HyperLoot NFT art, we can see at the bottom part, we got the prefix, suffix, and the +1. These blocks are going from top to bottom. So actually, we also changed the ring, which should be on your finger, and Vic changed it to a halo on top of the HyperLoot. And we also used a robot instead of any human figures because we didn't want to make it gender-based. So that's it for the NFT. And then update on our website design. So what you're seeing now hasn't been revealed anywhere before. We're dropping it right now, and we hope you love it. This is how our direction is going for our website. We are on about 50% for the website development, about 95% on the smart contract, and about 80% about the back end, and 100%, maybe 99% of art. So we are planning to launch around early January if possible. The latest we hope is mid-January. We're going to support Loot, mLoot, and Genesis Adventurer. For Loot and mLoot, some of you might be worrying, like, will there be any difference between Loot and mLoot HyperLoot? And yes, there will be a difference, but we haven't revealed it yet. So that's it for HyperLoot. We dropped quite a lot of things here. So drop by and you can say hi to us anywhere in Twitter and Discord, and we'll actively talk with you guys. Thank you.
Wow, I'm blown away. I don't even know where to begin. Maybe somebody else begin. I want to collect my thoughts here.
Amazing. I just love this image right here. This bear hasn't geared up yet. So
yeah,
cool.
It will be ready for you guys to gear up on January.
Just to focus on the CCO open source stuff for a second, you guys talked quickly through that. I don't know if you want to go back to that slide, but that was a really powerful thing you threw out there. That not only are you saying you're open sourcing the imagery, you're also open sourcing the libraries, and you're open sourcing the layered files, and CCOing the whole thing. That's incredible, guys.
Yeah, thank you. So the idea is that since we want to build the apps and website and web app and stuff like that on top of Loot and HyperLoot ourselves, so we thought that since we're building that anywhere, we would just open source everything, including the tools that we'll be using, and like we're not trying to build something of us only, but we want the whole community to build something cool of it. So yeah.
But if no one is planning to build on top of us, then we are going to build it ourselves. So no worries.
So yeah, so the public domain will apply to every single thing, including the Photoshop file, the image file, the code base. We will even open source our website, HyperLoot website as well. Like every single thing will be open source.
Given how deeply you're committing to the religion of the CCO, I'm curious to hear a couple of thoughts about why. I think we obviously all believe in this mission and this direction, but for a team who's clearly so capable and committed, curious to put in your own words, like why the religion of CCO?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so basically, I have not much experience in the licensing stuff and the legal stuff, but the first encounter with CCO is with the bitmap by Dom. That was the first time that I ever experienced what CCO is like and what the potential of the CCO is going to be. There are definitely pros and cons to CCO. The con is that the things that you build might be used for something bad. People might use it to build something that you don't want or something illegal. But on the other hand, people can also, by open sourcing or by making it public domain, there are more opportunity that people will build on top of it. And we hope that the exposure will be bigger for the public domain. Let's say if you put it into a real life situation, if you want to build something of Ethereum, and I found that I have to lead through 100 pages long of license of Ethereum, I totally don't want to build on top of it. But if I know that things are open source, if I know that you can free to do whatever you want, so you can cut a lot of time, resources, money that you have to put in to make sure that things go right. But with CCO and public domain, there is no limit to it. And also they could cut a lot of overhead time in the licensing and legal stuff. And by the result of that, we hope that the good will outweigh the bad when it comes to public domain. But again, this is really new to the NFT itself and the art world and the software world for going forward with public domain. I would say it's still an experiment, but we want to see how far this will go. And we believe that it will create a bigger impact than the private or more limited licenses.
Microphone open to anybody else who wants to dive in, ask questions, comments, follow-ups. Thank you guys for sharing so thoughtfully. Nicholas, how about you with that podcast voice? I'm sure you've got a comment here.
Catch me on my laptop. I don't have my fancy equipment around. But yeah, the project looks great. It's exciting to see much global interest in loot and such cool projects, many different aesthetics being explored. It's really exciting, and I love how this town square has become a place for builders. Loot is such a builder community. It's so cool.
Yeah, we love it too. It's amazing how people come together to build something in common and for the community and for the whole, not just for themselves. So that's really cool, for sure.
I'm going to call on my other podcaster buddy, No4, who is sitting right under Nicholas there. I know you are as nerd-sniped into loot land as I am. Thoughts, comments, questions for these guys?
I confirm that I'm nerd-sniped and I really love this. Very curious to see how this evolves. And one of the reasons I really love loot is because it's really cool to see everyone just loving everything that everyone else is doing. I would love to see as many collabs as possible.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we are excited to see how loot will grow as well.
All right, thank you guys so much. Thank you both for sharing. If our theme to start this off today was global builders and launching soon or launching now, like I said before, if you haven't minted your Loot Explorer, go do it now. I think that's a really cool little moment. Even if a couple of us go do that now. I minted my 5, but I'm tempted to move some loot to another wallet so I can go mint some more before the public mint starts, guys. And HyperLoot, I don't know if you guys are doing whitelisting or anything else, but if you're ready for an outpost in the Loot Discord, let us know. And Andrew or I or George or somebody will open that up for you.
Sure. So just a little advertisement. We are having our whitelist event right now. We have our last phases up on Twitter. So if you just suggest any names, so the team will choose the best 5 that we feel that can align very well with HyperLoot. And then the team and our community on Discord will have another vote. So this is actually the community decides the names of these faces that will be in the metadata. And of course, we will definitely give credits to the winners in our website as well. And the people who vote will be raffled for whitelist. So every single vote is important. So yeah, just come and join us. And if you have any suggestions, we're open to it as well.
I love bubblegum.
Yeah, that's a really nice one. Like if we were to think, we would have just like named it like Pink Face, Slimy, and like the community gives us like really good names. So we think it's a really good plan that we did this. So yeah, just join us and come talk to us. We're open for suggestions.
Really, really cool. Before we lose you and move on to some other stuff here, do you guys want to talk about Loot Watcher as well?
Sure, we can do that. So Loot Watcher, it's also the same team without Big Vic, because we didn't really need much art for that. Loot Watcher is for pro. Can you open up the website? Is your screen still on? So Loot Watcher is for projects that are building on top of Loot to have a space for them to like kind of show off what they are working on. It's where Loot holders can vote the projects that they believe in or they like or they want to give some like shout out to them. So we currently have around like 30 projects. And we have a type form on top right corner for anyone who's interested to be on our website. We don't have any special criteria right now. We just accept all projects that make sense and give us the full information that we added to our website around once or twice a week. So if you see that you submitted and we didn't add it to our website, you can just like shout out on Twitter or you can just hop on our Discord and tell us that, yeah, we're missing you out. Also, for like some bags that can claim like Genesis Mana here, you can claim from your loot bag and you can also check if the bag that you have or you're planning to buy, it has claimed the specific project or not. Like this bag already claimed Adventure Gold. So it's also another tool for loot holders as well.
I love what you guys did here. You did this really quickly. This was like within a couple weeks of Loot launching. But I love it, and I love, again, the spirit of it. And I'll just have to tell even a funny story. Maybe a month and a half ago when we relaunched the new lootproject.com website, Dom had asked me, hey, you seem like you like to put organization and structure to stuff. Do you want to take a crack at reorganizing the lootproject.com website? And I brought a group of people together, designers and UX people and devs and myself and a couple others. And in every brainstorm, we kept coming back to lootwatcher.com. And we almost said, you know what, guys? Why don't we just make this lootproject.com? Because it's alive, it's community-driven, it's got a sort of rich, living ability to surface up new projects, coming soon projects. So yeah, I just wanted to call out amazing work here. I don't know if you're taking feature requests, but I know I have some feature requests. I'm sure the community might as well. But also, if folks are on this call and you haven't done this yet, pop in there and either submit your own projects if you haven't done it, but also submit your votes. I think it's a really cool way for us to have our own version of Product Hunt for Loot. And it's nice to give love to, like, I see Rings on here. I see Crypts and Caverns that launched a couple weeks ago. I actually don't see Loot Explorers. We got to get you guys on here. And ironically, I don't see HyperLoot on here either.
So yeah, that's what we have on our plan next. We need coming soon project section, which is definitely on our next feature list. So Loot Explorers was one of the coming soon projects. So with HyperLoot, so we haven't added 2 projects yet. But if Kai and Luna, if you're interested and you want to be listed on Loot Watcher, we may need like some information, like description and stuff from you, and then you'll be up.
Yep, I think we'll just submit through the official methods, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
We'll look to it.
Thank you.
It might be interesting. I don't know how that code works, but it might be interesting to co-host this on lootproject.com. Right now, we link to it. If you go to lootproject.com, maybe somebody pull it up real quick, actually. There's a section called Resources, and the first big link in Resources is Loot Watcher. But it kind of strikes me that maybe one of those top navs should actually just be Loot Watcher. Well, I guess we could just link straight to Loot Watcher, but I was thinking maybe you could also like embed the whole thing inside of the Loot website. We could take it offline and brainstorm, but I just wanted to call out. I really love what you guys are doing for the community here.
Yeah, that would be cool. Thank you. But on top of that, I just want to mention that since right now we are focusing on HyperLoot right now, and our team is basically the same team. We also have a bunch of features lining up for Loot Watcher itself as well. On top of what he said about the coming soon section on the website, we might also build something like a comment section so people can comment on each of the projects listed on Loot Watcher, and they can upload, they can add comments. So it will be like a movie level, but for the Loot project. So we hope that we can build a bunch of cool stuff on this as well. And we plan to do something like related project as well. So like if you mint Genesis Mana, there might be a section saying that, hey, you might like Loot Mart as well. So you can just click in and mint them out. So we planned a bunch of stuff that we want to build after HyperLoot, of course.
Really cool. Thank you for sharing, everybody. I think we're at the hour mark here, which is perfect. Our main focus today was on these two projects. But I wanted to quickly call out a few topics. We may not get into all of them, but quickly call them out and also just give some love to some other projects right now. I don't know if other folks are necessarily on the phone to receive this love, but if you are, and I name your project, unmute and chime in. But two other projects that just launched. One is Banners, and I think they presented last week, and maybe even the week before as well. They are live. They went live, 3 days ago. Live and minting, bannersnft.com. I can drop that into the general chat. There's also an outpost for that if you want to talk about it and get feedback and ask questions. Lootpunk.org just launched. They're sort of a sleeper launch. We hadn't really seen them too much around the Loot Discord. I had chatted with them a bit on Twitter, but other than that, just kind of a quiet sleeper launch, but it looks really cool. Lootpunk.org, minting, claimable right now, specifically tied to loot bags. I'll link to that one here too. There we go. Andrew just linked to the Twitter. Perfect. And then also just live and still minting. There are some really exciting projects that just launched in the past month or 2 months, whatever, in kind of this next phase of Loot. Obviously, phase 1 of Loot was the explosion of just a bunch of new derivatives and new primitives and copies and inspiration and chaos and more. But after that dust settled and people really sat down to start to build, like HyperLoot's been building for almost 4 months now. The next chapter of derivative projects and expansion projects and primitive projects are pretty incredible. Crypts and Caverns presented a couple weeks ago, still live and minting. Nice, Andrew, you're right on it. Rings just launched, ringsforloot.com. Beautiful work from Jeremy Goldberg, 3D rings. I forget if it's PCO open source, but the spirit of it is right in line here, and it's beautifully tied to the Loot foundational lore. I have to call out the Genesis project, too, my own project that I and Treppers and Holden and now Loot Hero and others are helping to drive the community on. Still open, still playable, still minting. We're having a lot of fun in that Discord as well. And then some other stuff coming soon. The Crypt is coming soon. And I think I saw a Redbeard on here if you wanted to give any sort of tease. I know we have talked about that a little bit, and I've been incredibly impressed with both you, Redbeard, and Locket in this community. And the project that you guys are working on is freaking amazing. I don't know if you want to say hi and tease anything. Sorry, not Redbeard, Sportsbeard. Too many beards. Redbeard is Realms. We all know and love Realms. Yeah, Sportsbeard and Locket and a couple other folks are working on this project called The Crypt. I don't know their name. Oh, there you go. Twitter.com/TheCryptGame. really cool. Dive into those docs. There's some incredibly exciting stuff going on there. The Rift. I don't know if the Rift has a website yet. Andrew, I don't know if you know.
I haven't seen it. I don't think so.
Another incredibly thoughtful project. A real game. A real deep project. I've said this before a few times, but unlike a normal NFT project that like launches and there's a hype cycle, and a week later everyone's on to the next hype cycle and the next hype cycle, and many NFT projects turn into great communities, but most of them aren't incubators. And what Loot has become to me, and I think is pretty evidenced by this call, is an incubator for Hyperverse builders. And that means that the timelines we're working on are not 1 week quick hit NFT pump FOMO timelines. We're working off of builder timelines, and to see the amount of work and progress and development that's happened just in the past few months, even on normal company builder timelines, is freaking incredible. The Loot Explorer team you guys launching today is a perfect metaphor for that. But that's a whole company. I mean, maybe it's not a company, but that's a whole company, and you guys just invented that out of thin air a few months ago, and launching it today is just a beautiful milestone. So congratulations to you. Anybody else on the call, or anybody else want to just chime in with other stuff that's like live that you're excited about and you want to share, or coming soon that you want to share before we move on to other open discussion topics?
I'm
just. You, Redbeard, you can say hi. Oh, go ahead, sir.
Oh no, I want to hear from Redbeard. What's up, Redbeard? I was just gonna say I'm gonna share LootLARP because I know they're still trying to bring people into the Discord and sort of launch their project. Let's see if I can link that.
Oh, and I see Lord of a Few here too.
Good, yeah, thanks, Andrew.
Actually, Loot. Hey, you're here.
Yeah.
Alberto, what's going on? Hey, can you show us? Can you show us what you're working on a little bit?
For sure. Hey everyone, I'm Anthony. I'm one of the co-founders of LootLARP alongside Brian, and really happy to be here. So nice to see so many amazing projects tonight. Incredible what's happening in this community, and I think I speak for everyone when I say it's really inspiring for all of us. So thanks to everyone. So for those of you who aren't familiar with our project, we're creating physical NFT weapons building off the Loot ecosystem, and which are linked to a smart contract via embedded Konglan DAO silo chips. So these items will be used at a real IRL LARP event at ETH Barcelona, which dates are TBD. So I'm just going to share my screen here. And this is just building on what Brian has shown some of y'all in some of the previous town squares. We've got some images of the prototype physical NFT weapons that we're building. So excited to share that. I'm just going to share my screen here. So let me know if you guys can see that.
I see it.
Awesome. So these are literal prototypes of what we're building. So as you can see here, there's a warhammer, there's a mace, there's a chain hood, a spell book, a fighting staff. So there's a wand as well. So moving to the next image, you can actually see the embedded silo chip in the objects. So the idea is that the silo chips are embedded in the hilts, so that those are then able to be scanned via NFC on your phone, which then brings you to all the kind of MVP mobile app that we're building with all the quests and games that kind of bring you through the event/experience at ETH Barcelona. Here you get a sense of, again, these are goods built or created by a studio in Quebec, Canada called Atelier Nemesis. We're one of the largest specialists of LARP goods in the world. They're pretty stoked to be on this project. Even told us today that this is the next generation of LARP. So they've been waiting for this for a long time. So be happy to connect with them. So like I said, you can see, the Kongland silo chips directly embedded in the objects. And basically we're using like a coin display case to hold the chips themselves, which are then adhered to the handles of the objects. And here you can see the chip embedded in the staff, a piece of leather. So we're pretty happy with the progress so far on these. We're going to probably go to mint sometime next month, and excited to keep you all posted on those. Very, very excited about them, and obviously happy to hear any feedback y'all might have about the project. And like we said, we've also been busy building out our MVP on the software side, which we're excited to share the progress of in a future Loot Town Square. So be posted on that. And as always, you can follow us on Twitter at LootLARP and Discord, and don't hesitate to DM.
So cool. Thank you for sharing. I've joked to people, and not even really joked, that I've been LARPing as a Web3 builder for the past year.
We all have. Awesome.
Really cool. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else want to share something within Lootverse that you want to get feedback on, or just drop a link to, or even somebody else's project that you want to shout out to? We are going to have a couple of conversations about stuff beyond Loot and the wider Hyperverse in a second. So, who is that? There's a couple people. The Rambling Boy, I'll call on you. Denials, I'm excited to hear your project too. But anything within Lootverse that anybody else wants to share?
Oh, I can share. I think last week I talked about Loot LA and setting up a meetup in Los Angeles, and we picked a date. So we don't have any details beyond the date, but January 8th is when we're going to have this first Los Angeles meetup. So I'll been communicating with that group in a Telegram chat, so I'm going to share that Telegram right now. But as we get details, we'll start sharing, event RSVP and that sort of thing, in the Discord and on Twitter. So be on the lookout for that.
Sweet. All right, I'm gonna drop 6 topics in a row real quick here, and I don't think these are going to be all like talk them out topics, but just, I don't know what you call these, postings, housekeeping, much more than housekeeping, but maybe 6 pieces of alpha. I don't know, 6 topics right now. Topic number 1. Now that we're moving into sort of the open discussion about Loot projects and last week in Loot, there was a lot that happened the past week of Loot. So topic number 1. The Loot.exchange team and a wider group of people have put together the first retroactive funding proposal from the Loot DAO, the Loot Royalty DAO. The Loot Royalty DAO now has something like 140 ETH in it now, just from OpenSea royalties and Loot.exchange royalties. And we haven't used it for anything yet. When we were talking about like what's the best use for this, it feels like the best first use for this is not about incentivizing new builders or growing it or doing marketing or whatever else one might do with the DAO's treasury. It feels like the best thing to do with the Loot DAOs or the Loot Treasury DAOs sort of first metaphorical funding proposal is a retroactive thank you to the projects who really helped us build this next phase of Loot. There was a whole long process about identifying these projects and going through and voting on them, and we did all of that, I think, over the past 3 weeks or so. I wasn't really driving most of that. The Loot Exchange team and others were driving it. I don't think I see Jay Meyer on the call here. If somebody was closer to that, please tell me to mute and you can take over this part of it. But TLDR here is that there's a proposal now at royaltydao.com. I'm going to post this into general as well.
I got you.
Oh, you got it. Cool. So yeah, our first loot proposal. It's a proposal to take 25 ETH allocated to only the public goods projects, and there's a list specifically of them with the outcome of the quadratic vote that we all did. Biblioteca, Loot Exchange, The Herald, which is Andrew's beautiful work you've been doing documenting this crazy journey we've been on. Dom himself was on this list with a big sort of metaphorical thank you to everything Dom has been doing for us. Loot Watcher, B. Pierre with the Loot Rarity original data dump and analysis and website. George, who I don't think is on the call, but has been a quiet force behind this entire Discord experience. The Loot Mart team and the Loot Swag team. If you're not on this list, it doesn't mean not thank you. But this was just the first list, the first proposal, the first retroactive funding, specifically for public goods projects. And so I just love that this is like the first thing from Loot. There's many DAOs that go many directions. The fact that Loot chose this direction warms my heart. So if you hold Loot, please go vote. And if you feel like there's a reason to vote against it, let's talk about it. This is hopefully the first of many thoughtful, deliberate, intentional proposals for how we as a truly decentralized DAO can move forward and reward our community and just make this experience more fun for all of us, for builders, for players, for the wider ecosystem, and to just bring good to the wider Hyperverse. So that's more than a TLDR, but first proposal is out. If you want to go vote on it, please do. Second thing I want to just quickly acknowledge is that there's in the Loot Owners channel right now, I popped in a comment around website, keeping the website updated. Lord of a Few and I and a group of Loot Alliance folks have been doing our best to shepherd the website forward. But if we're being honest, I think we felt a little bit of decentralization paralysis over the past month. We put all that work into launching it, this big North Star in the Lootverse sky, lootproject.com V2 launch. And we actually wrote down a bunch of principles, guiding principles, and almost design criteria for the website. But because we're so decentralized, I know I at least have felt like a little bit hamstrung on just being able to update the website and just change it and add projects or remove projects or add pages or remove pages. And so I put a sort of informal comment in the Loot Owners channel to say, hey, rather than a whole Loot improvement proposal snapshot vote, maybe we could just emoji vote to say, we support the guiding principles for the Loot project website. We want to keep curating it actively. We don't need to check in with the community on every single project we add or change or remove or whatever to it. I think it'd be nice to kind of unstick that, because the lootproject.com website is often a really good answer to what is Loot? I'm confused. What is Loot? So that's me saying pop into the Loot Owners channel, check out that. Here, I guess I can link back to it in general. And maybe this post should have been in general versus owners. I'm not sure. But if you have ideas here, comment on it. If you want to be involved too and help with the website, please help. Both Lord of a Few and I and others would love more dev hands and creative hands helping out with it. So that was number 2, website. Number 3, Loot Hero is still on. I think I'm going to hand you the mic for this, Loot Hero. But this week, I feel like we had a breakthrough in some canon, a breakthrough in some understanding of the original Loot foundational canon with respect to the power rankings, the item level power rankings, and the interplay with greatness scores. I can share a tweet thread. I threw out a pretty epically long tweet thread a couple days ago on this, with a doc that analyzes all this. But Loot Hero, you are closer to this than anybody in the Lootverse. Any comments?
Yeah, I'll try to keep it somewhat short. So there's a group of us that were talking about just the genesis of Loot, right? How did things start? And when I was looking at the greatness scores, one thing that comes to mind is the Genesis project. If you read the lore behind the Genesis project, they talk about, these are the Genesis adventurers. These are the first adventurers carrying the loot bags. And when I first read that, I just thought, okay, that's fun lore, but it's not necessarily contract canon by any means. But then as we started to discover more of the code that Dom put in the loot contract, it actually started to appear that that could be actually supported by the contract. And so the rationale here is that, sorry if there's something, if you don't know about greatness yet, I'm not going to cover that. So I would defer to the post that Tim Shell's about to share about the foundational lore. You'll have to go through that and figure out greatness on your own. But if you understand greatness, then you may know that at greatness 15, the item gets assigned in order. And so if you're playing in the Genesis project, playing to summon a Genesis adventurer, those are all greatness 15 and higher items. And so what we start to think about is, well, in most games, items level up over time as they gain experience. So if you have these leveled, say 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 items, 20 being the highest in loot, then it seems sensible to think about those items as having existed longer than, say, a level 5 item or a greatness 5 item. And so that was really kind of one big, it's somewhere between revelation and really compelling lore, in that what we can start to do is look at these items from a greatness perspective, and that tells us how old they are. And so the items that have the highest greatness, which happen to be the Genesis mono items, are also the oldest items. And then the items with lower greatness, like 0 is the lowest in the contract, those would be freshly minted items. Like those have been produced and are effectively new in box and haven't been used. And so I think that's part one of it. So I think I'll pause there, and if anybody has any comments or has thought about that before, or if that doesn't feel compelling to them.
I'm trying to put a TLDR right into chat right now, but I think we can even add this to Loot.Foundation. I'd be excited if OnuCell or Locket were on, but I don't think they are. But they were incredibly deep into some of the other contract level prefix lore we've been working on, and I feel like the prefix stuff tied to greatness tells just an incredible story.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the TLDR is that one way to look at greatness is it's the age of the item, and part of that just helps us with foundational lore, that we can then start to give an age to these items, and then the names become historical events that those items were used in, and that they gained experience through those events. And therefore, if you had an item, at the Demon Peak battle, and it was a significant item, then after the battle was over, that item got the name Demon Peak, for example. And the items only get named at greatness 19, so they've been around for a while, so they kind of build that notoriety through those events. So yeah, that's part one. And then I think the other part you were alluding to was for the ring mappings. Did you want to talk about that, Michelle, briefly?
I was actually thinking mostly just rankings and greatness. I think the ring mappings is maybe too nuanced for this discussion right now. But why don't we take the ring mapping stuff, and why don't we share it in chat later? We can do that async.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. Thanks for sharing, Loot Hero, and thank you for everything you've been doing too. All right, that was topic number 3. Topic number 4 I wanted to call out. Loot Demo Day. If you haven't seen my tweets about this, I've started to get really excited about the idea of pulling up and pulling out of Discord and into either Twitter Spaces or maybe YouTube Live or maybe one of those like formal events platforms. I'm not sure exactly what the right format is. But to do a proper Loot Demo Day. There's a deck that's being worked on. If you're a builder and you haven't yet gotten a link to that deck, please DM me or DM Andrew or even DM Loot Hero, who is involved in helping to create this. And the idea is for us to be able to pull up and out and talk about like what is loot and where are we to the wider ecosystem. A way to celebrate the community, a way to celebrate these builders, a way to share the sort of potency of what's happening inside this crazy little experiment that we're working on right now. I mentioned this before, but I think that Loot, unlike a regular NFT project, is actually a decentralized incubator. And in a lot of ways, it's a decentralized incubator, not just for the Lootverse, but also for the Hyperverse. It's a lot of us who are coming together and just sharing ideas and sharing code and sharing, intentions with where we hope this whole world can go. And some of the best stuff I've seen has been inside of this Loot community. And so excited to do a loot demo day. Again, if you don't have the link, ask me or Andrew or Loot Hero for it. Dom has said he's down to join that, which will be great. We're not going to do it with like judges or anything like that. I think it'll be more like a panel of co-hosts sort of hosting and presenting it, and then builders just bam, bam, bam. Maybe 5 to 7 minutes, maybe a 5-minute presentation, 3 to 5 minutes of Q&A and feedback, bam, to the next one. There's probably going to be like 20 presenters, maybe even more than that. So it might be an epically long event, but honestly, even if it turned into like a 3-hour, 4-hour demo day, I think it'd be pretty energizing and definitely an amazing use of half a day. And if you want to help organize that, we're driving a lot of that out of the Divine DAO right now. Divine has emerged as really a quiet, and maybe not so quiet, but quiet backbone as sort of its own little incubator for the Lootverse. Kind of like a fueling station for builders, fueling station to help writers and creators and builders themselves just build inside this Lootverse in a positive direction. And so this Loot Demo Day, I think, will be sort of co-hosted and in some ways like organized by and presented by and brought out by the Divine crew, the Divine DAO crew, myself included. And so if you want to participate in that, that would be awesome. Nice. Andrew's got the link to the Divine City. Sweet. Cool. So that was my number 4. Number 5, on the point of Divine, if you don't know much about Divine, I'll just give the TLDR. Unless Conway's on or Alex on.
No, they're not here.
No? Okay, well, TLDR on this one, I'll be quick, is that Divine DAO launched a while ago, and it has a really amazing long-term vision to support the Lootverse. Phase 1 of Divine DAO is what we were calling Gathering at the Gates. It's a lot of us that came together, creators and builders and writers and artists and more, and actually tributed a bunch of loot bags to this Divine DAO. And so now the Divine DAO has something like 300 ETH in treasury, plus the Divine token that's trading, plus I think like 20-something bags, maybe more than 20 bags, starting with Divine robe bags and now just many other Divine bags as well. And the idea is that from this first phase of Gathering at the Gates, we're now almost ready to enter Phase 2. And actually, we're kind of starting to crack open Phase 2. Phase 2 being the opening of the Divine Gates. The opening of the Discord in a wider way, the opening of the lore, the opening of the stories that we're starting to discover through this Divine City construct. And so if you're a writer, a creator, a builder who's looking to both tie to the foundational lore of Loot and looking for other collaboration with other writers and artists and builders and creators, or if you are a writer and you want to participate here and are looking for an entry point, the Divine DAO is just starting to open up Phase 2, the opening of the Divine Gates. And I think there'll be a lot of really exciting mojo that emerges out of that over the coming weeks and months. Cool. That was number 5. Number 6, and maybe actually, Nicholas, if you're still on, you could say this one. We have been really excited about a quest. A.quest is Dom's to be revealed and to be built project. Dom, as a builder, is obviously part of this community as well. And he hasn't really said much about it, but last week he did say something about a quest in the context of corruptions. I don't know, Nicholas, do you want to take the mic on this one?
I think I wasn't privy to the conversation directly, but we were having a conversation about corruptions on Twitter Spaces the other day that will be going up as a podcast sooner or later if anyone's interested in the corruptions community and how corruptions shares. It was actually the first I learned of this, that corruptions shares some DNA with a quest. And it sort of took on its own life after it was launched. So I think it's possible. The rumor is Dom may be interested in joining a corruptions chat in the future. So it's very exciting to hear that a quest may also be a brewing as well.
There you go. And not only that, not only does it share some DNA, I forget the exact phrase, but Dom said something like corruptions is a primitive for a quest. Or
yeah, he was testing. He was going to test ideas using corruptions to bring back to A-Quest, basically. And then Tim Shell got a hold of it.
Yeah, if you want to see what it's like to see sort of on-chain collaborative performance art, on-chain dynamic, community-driven, collaborative NFTs. I don't even know how to put exact words to it. Come join the corruptions community. You don't even need to buy corruptions, but just join the Discord. You can see it, you can participate, and you can see what's going on there. If it is a test bed for a quest, maybe it'll seed some cool ideas for all of us too about where a quest might go.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of overlap in the people who are enthusiastic for these different projects, not only of DOMs, but also, I don't know, Math Castle is out, sort of on-chain heavy, lore heavy, innovative, really cool communities. They're really, as you've said a couple times in this call, a different kind of NFT collection. It's not so much about pumponomics, much more about sort of slowly building something interesting, collaboration between the artists and the collector community that become part artists as well. So I would be not at all surprised to see all of these projects converging many different times in the future.
Awesome. All right, those are my 6 quick hits. Before we move on past, I guess we're actually beginning to go beyond loot here, but before we go past loot, anybody else want to grab the mic and just share anything else in loot land from last week? Thoughts about loot, questions you got in your mind, your own projects, or any questions for HyperLoot crew, Loot Explorers crew, or anybody else who presented today? Going once, going twice.
All
right.
I wanted to see one idea real quick. I was going to type it all out, but it'd be much more efficient just to say it and see if anybody else feels compelled to help me push it along to a proposal. I was thinking about when we vote in the different loot DAOs, like Divine DAO or it could be the Loot Treasury DAO. And I was thinking that with loot being, sort of a battle-ish game, right, where it's like Loot Warriors or that sort of vibe, maybe it would be really cool if instead of voting for things that we battled for things when it comes to DAO votes. So you're not just, here I have this token and I'm going to place one vote, but I have this loot bag and it has these items and these items have certain capabilities and powers. So I'm going to, put 5 ghost wands up, to support this idea. And effectively each vote becomes a battle of ideas. And, there's defense, there's offense, of course, but that might be a really interesting way to just showcase the dynamic nature of loot and just, instead of taking like a diplomatic approach like most DAOs do, it's like, oh, everyone gets a vote. This is like every single time we have to decide something, we're going to war for it. And, and it also may provide an interesting way to canonize upgrading of items. And that essentially that when you're using these items in these battles to decide the future of these DAOs, that's how you gain experience. And, we have these relatively, not centralized, but controlled contracts where, you started with the Greatness 3 Ghost Wand, but, you're actively participating in these battles for deciding, the direction of the Lootverse. And so, you're gaining XP, and now, according to the contract that's managing all of that, you're now a Greatness 8 or something like that. And so I think it could turn into a really fun part of the Lootverse, I think. So instead of just voting yes, no on things, we're actually allocating weapons in armor to certain ideas to protect them or attack them.
Wow. I think you just invented something. I don't know if that exists anywhere, but that absolutely should exist in the world, and that could apply to a ton of communities beyond just loot.
Yeah, so maybe we could help invent it. It would be something cool that we did. So I think I'll probably start with Divine DAO. Since we already have a lot of open dialogue there, start to see if we can actually just spec out some smart contracts that, I think a lot of this we're going to need long-term anyways. We're going to need a contract that takes in weapons, assesses the strength of the items. Unfortunately, Dom already put all that in the contract, right? Like 2 months ago, this would have been a lot more effort. for us all to agree how powerful is a ghost wand compared to a grave wand. But we kind of, I think, all agree on these things now. We have the item rankings, we have greatness scores, we can combine them to get an approximate power rating of 0 to 100 for each item. We have magic, we have strength and power, we have dexterity for the hunters. So I think we really have a lot of the foundation for this, so that when people start putting these items into the contract, they can say, this is the total amount of power supporting the idea, broken into magical strength, dexterity, warrior, and then here's the other side that doesn't want that idea. It's like, I really think that not only is this going to be relatively easy compared to everything else we're building as a community, but I think we're going to need these types of contracts anyways for a lot of the different battle games. So if we can get a team to really focus on this at the DAO level, I think then we can just expand that and reuse a lot of that code for other battle games.
Really, really cool. I love any conversation that goes like micro, macro, meta. If you've heard me, you might have heard me say that before. Micro in the weeds of the freaking ghost wands and the bone wands, and I love to get in the micro. And the macro, we obviously talked a lot about the macro, even today, about what does loot mean and what is everybody working on in the long-term visions. But what you just threw out is the most meta thing I've heard in all of loot so far, I think. The idea that we could govern loot based on battles with the items inside our loot bags and then grow the greatness and the experience points of our bags based on our engagement with the DAO itself is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, governance lore.
Yeah, and I'll throw one more idea on top of that could also solve another problem, which is inflating the loot items because we want to gain more players. That potentially greatness 20 is when you get the +1 to your item, and the +1 within this world, right? This management system of the items allows you then to mint a greatness 0 item, and so you're leveling up your items by participating in the DAO and governance, and then once you level up to the top, you get your level greatness 20 with the +1, and that +1, then you mint a greatness 0 item that starts at the bottom. So you keep your greatness 20, of course, but now you get this greatness 0. And so it allows us to slowly inflate the supply of items, and I think that could be a really nice way to add more items, add more players through governance. So I would say if you're interested in this, look at the Divine DAO, the Discord link's in there. Get your, I don't know if we're calling it an application or an introduction, go to the introduction, and then, I think I'll probably just funnel it through the ideas channel there, see if we can get a few people to spec something out and get something up on Rinky or maybe an L2.
2 people that I'd try to throw in there with you. One is you, Lord of a Few. You have had an awesome idea about like a canonical contract that talks about all the I don't know what the word would be, but like all the rankings and the points and the XP and more of all the bags. And then also Sportsbeard, who I don't think is on the call, has built a primitive of that contract. Lord, you just unmuted. Do you want to chime in?
Yeah, I was going to mention the Sportsbeard contract he built. He did something similar with the rankings. So I think they're. I don't know if they're. I don't think they're still in stealth mode, but they're like. Anyone else seen the Crips game? I think they popped up in the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
Go and check that out. I think they're on Twitter, but they're building a pretty cool, like, kind of. There's been talk about like a world boss type contract where you have to like defeat it, and they're kind of building something like that. Except like the dungeon is the boss, and you can go to different dungeons with your bags. It's quite cool, and they're like a proper game studio based in the UK, I think. They're doing some cool things, so go check that out.
Cool. I know you had an idea too about doing like an ability scores contract that adds on and creates almost new canon on top. Maybe now's not the right time for it.
Yeah,
but maybe you should connect with Loot Hero on this. That seems really cool.
Yeah, there's definitely that. That's going to be some new law that I guess people need to agree on. But yeah, these these like read-only contracts, as Era was saying, they're really like kind of vital to the whole ecosystem, and they can get shared. You know, they can get composed across all these different games, so they just need to be done. That hasn't been my focus. My focus has just been on building the Loot Realms game in StarkNet for now, but they can be done on a layer 2 as well. So
Awesome. All right, Loot Hero, thank you for sharing that. That really blew my mind. I got to figure out how to turn everything you just said into a tweetable form, because that is an amazing idea. Cool. I think that brings us towards the end of the loot section of this, but I know there's 2 people who want to share specific projects that you're working on inspired by loot and as part of this wider Hyperverse movement. The Rambling Boy, we've had some amazing conversations on Twitter. You might have said your audio wasn't doing so well, but how are you doing now? Maybe still not so good. Maybe while that audio gets figured out, or maybe you want to share just in chat. I know Denials, you're working on some really cool stuff that you wanted to share, and I think you might have a screen share as well.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. All right, so I'm very excited to share my project I've been working on for a while. So this is going to be the first time I drop this in the community, so you guys are in for a treat. So let me know if my screen is working.
Yep, we see it.
We see it.
All right, so I'm working on this game called Animera, and just diving right into what the NFTs look like. So they're basically like little hermit crabs that are fully decked out, full of equipment. And I've been working on this for quite a few months now. And the studio behind me is called Virtually Human. And if you haven't heard of Virtually Human is the creators of Zedrun, who are a really, really popular NFT game on Ethereum and Polygon. There's 400,000 plus active Discord members, a lot of partnerships with stuff like Netflix and Atari. So a pretty well-established team that I have behind me. And why I think it's so appropriate to drop here is that I'm deeply inspired by all the stuff that's going on with loot. And right before that, Animera is going to be a unique RPG auto battler strategy game, and I have a feeling that some of the people are going to understand the game mechanics really fast, because I feel like some of these people here are indie gamers as well. And we love loot so much that some of their code is really, really based on loot. So when I was building this, loot dropped during the build phase of this, and I was really inspired to see how I can build a loot contract into a game. So, as you see, this crab up here has wooden claws, wooden body, stone shell, and a swamp background or something. So I was thinking of deriving all those into an SVG and actually using a visualizer for the front end on our site or in our game. So I thought back on that, and I figured it's better to just use the loot code for greatness scores, as you guys see, to generate a lot of these pieces. And taking after loot and some inspiration with some projects like LootMark, we have stuff like ideas for breaking part for equipment for later on. Each piece of your equipment is kind of based on greatness scores. So you can have a normal pair of legs, or you can have a legendary item that has a unique name that I've put into the contract. So this is an early game concept that I built in Unity a while ago. So I'm just kind of curious if anyone's recognized what this game looks like so far. So feel free to shout it out if you guys are played a game that's very similar to this. Alright, so games are similar to something called Loot Hero. You just kind of get in the game and things free on Epic for the next day or so. But this is an early concept. You can see that the crabs has changed a lot since the early concepts. But essentially, you build a territory. You get unique lands depending on what background you get, and these get randomly generated. You fight monsters. You get a certain amount of loot iterations per day. take drops. Like, I think that's such a cool concept that people haven't been really diving into on NFTs as much. And I also want to embrace the loot ethos of building more derivatives into your game. So the early concept I had was like, if you play Loot Hero, cards are really important. You can like customize your land. You can add more monsters you can fight to increase your experience, increase your loot. So I had an early concept of different rarity levels of like stuff like the Frog King, and this one has a Mega Shine background, and then this voice one has like a lesser rarity background, and I thought more on that. And like, what if like you earn these NFTs to build another game as well? So like, on the right side, you can see this concept is moving towards more like a Hearthstone type of game where there's like attack and defense. So yeah, those are some of the other ideas that we're currently building into the game. And at this stage, I'm about to reach out to establish partnerships. So we were thinking of like launching like very special partner edition NFTs, such as like the like Kongs, for example, here, where when you redeem your NFT, you can get like a Kong special edition if you bought that special edition itself. And some of the interesting things I was thinking about, because I've been doing a lot of review with the loot contract and other stuff like corruptions as well, is the idea of like randomizing. So like one thing about the loot contract is you can check the what's rendered inside your rarity really early on if you can decode some of the byte 64 stuff. So I was just thinking having sort of a trading system where you have a mystery bowl that you kind of like redeem your Animura from, so that when I actually mint the contract, all the numbers are kind of having a bit more rarity there. As well, I've been really diving into corruptions, and if you haven't really been following corruptions, I highly suggest like taking a look into the code and stuff. It's really fun. Even if you're not techie, it's a lot to learn. So I have a really cool Easter egg based on the corruptions contract in the mystery bowl itself. I don't think I'll share everything about that just yet, but we are planning some token ideas as well around these mystery bowls. So stay tuned for that type of announcement. So yeah, this is just me talking about how like after you redeem it, your bowl turns empty. Yeah, so some of the partners we're pitching, we're just kind of trying to distribute some free NFTs to people, to communities, having an exclusive design to NFTs to each community, and more continued support and all this type of stuff. So thanks for letting me present everything here today, Tim and Andrew. But I'm also really looking to see like, if you guys have any other ideas on how I can partner with the Loot community. I think you guys are like an amazing crowd, and I'd love to be like do whatever I can for the community with my project as well.
Thank you for sharing this. Really cool. That's so different, but also underneath it all, really similar vibes.
Yeah, like I was thinking a lot about what HyperLoot was talking about, and building out like SDKs and stuff like that to like scale up. I've been writing a lot about the contract stuff. Like, just a quick sneak. Like, this is what code looks like underneath. So there is like a greatness score, and like if there's magical prefixes, suffixes, and then like if you have a magic prefix and suffix, you consider that like a rare item. And then there's certain like higher level rarity items where there's like legendary names. So I'm coming up with a lot of the names behind those. As you can see, like, so you can have like a Jin's like shield or something like that. And I already have built an SDK for this as well. So you can call like the API. You can see like this is the claw. What claw you got is like the graceful snow claws. So yeah, really opening up to the doors to embrace the ethos.
Denials, I remember that page. Did you create that one for corruptions? The one you just showed?
Yeah, I created the API for corruptions.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember using that. I thought that was you.
Yeah, so basically, like, I've learned so much from the developers here, like, on how to make this corruptions API. It was from Aisha Ruse here, who did a lot of code to create the Loot SDK. So I'm basically learning how to fork all that stuff and use it for my own project, basically.
Well, that's the other meta game of Loot and the Domverse and this whole Hyperverse is the game of learning. We're all learning as we go, and learning from each other, and forking code, and forking ideas, and composing ideas on top of each other. It's really cool to see that.
Cool. Yeah, so if anyone has any other ideas or you want to collaborate on any ideas, feel free to reach out to me. My DMs are pretty open, so as long as they don't get shit ton of spam, I read pretty much everything.
Cool.
All right. Thanks for sharing. Open mic. I know Rambling Boy wanted to share some stuff, but I think he's having a tough connection, so maybe join next week. Oh no, he just shared in chat too. Text-based NFTs that represent characters. Yeah, Rambling Boy, why don't we chat on this asynchronously in general, and then maybe next week or the week after you can hop in. I've really been impressed with your spirit, and as a young builder, I guess I just want you to know too that the community here will support and embrace you, and you're definitely more than welcome. Open mic. Anybody else want to share cool stuff in this universe? Hyperverse stuff, metaverse stuff? Thoughts and feelings after 2 hours of talking about Loot?
Tim, I need to go to bed.
I could share one cool thing. I talked to the team Jin and the team from Webiverse the other day, and I had never hopped into Webiverse. I highly suggest, if you're interested, head on over to app.webiverse.com. That's the correct address. And it's wholeheartedly worth 30 seconds of your attention. App.webiverse.com. It's a web-a-verse, and I'm sure someone can post the link. Unless I get to it first.
I'm going to the Twitter. Did you record that conversation, by the way?
I did, and that'll be going up as soon as my friend who helps me edit the podcast gets around to it.
Okay.
Basically, for those who are curious, Webiverse is from Avir and Jin, I believe, helped out also, Dank VR, and Web Mixed Reality on Twitter. And Webiverse is open metaverse protocol, I guess you could call it. Basically, it's a node process that anybody can self-host. When you go to the website, you're just on their instance of it. And in a forthcoming update in the next couple weeks, you'll be able to connect your wallet and any NFT you have that includes a VRM file format in the metadata, which is to say the sort of SVG of 3D art, including animation and rigging, etc., for full interoperability in a 3D world. Any NFT that you have in your wallet when you connect that has that VRM format will just appear in the world with you. You can also drag and drop these VRM files or GLTF, GLB files, kind of standards compliant open file formats for 3D content. They'll just work in the world. Right now, I don't think they have any concept of land or any kind of scarce land idea, but it's very cool. It's going to be multiplayer, and the conversation really got me thinking, next time I do a collection, I want to just throw a VRM in addition to whatever JPEG or what have you, if there's an off-chain dependency already. A super cool project, and definitely worth checking out. An update coming in the next few weeks.
On that same spirit, I'd be curious to do sort of a quick around the horn even. We've got still a bunch of people on here 2 hours later, but a quick around the horn of what other projects people are really excited about these days. We heard about Corruptions, we heard about Math Castles, heard about Webiverse. I'm just curious even personally, what are people jamming on these days? Or to just loot.
Hey, Nicholas, can you share your podcast link or your
Yeah, it's actually going to go up tomorrow, so it's going to be called Web3 Galaxy Brain. So if you're interested, I'll toss my Twitter in the chat, and I'll be making an announcement. I think tomorrow the first episode is going up. That's going to be a call that I did with Ellie Day of Seed Club, talking about crazy stuff. And episode 2 will probably be that Webverse one. I think episode 3 will be, episode 2 is Dennis and Bertram, who was here earlier, and Danny Aranda of Tally and Party DAO, respectively. Then third episode probably going to be Corruptions call with Tim and Shrews and company. Scottato and Fabian's also on that call. And yeah, so check it out on my Twitter. I'll drop a link when that comes out soon. We have a few in the can, so the episode's coming out over Christmas. And also, while I'm here, Math Castles is super cool. I'm super into it, so check out Math Castles. And also the Crypto Coven project. I finally took a closer look. And the art is actually really cool. Somehow the properties really match the faces of the witches in the Crypto Coven project. And they have this whole gossip magazine style personality quiz to find out which type of witch you should be. It's a very, very fun project and a cool community around it that maybe are responding to the cool art from this particular project. That's really pretty outstanding.
I think Covens also has a high female demographic, which is really amazing because I think most projects are just so male-centric, and I've really been following them as well.
I threatened to change my PFP on Twitter to one of the witches from Crypto Coven, and now I've got a bunch of girls bullying me to do so on Twitter, which is fun.
Do it.
I love that project too, just given that it's so lore-driven. As we're thinking about stuff we're building in the Lootverse, some of these will be primitives and protocols and innovations or at least inspirations for other projects. And if we build something for the Lootverse that ends up looking like a story chain or a protocol for collaborative stories through communities like this, I could see projects like Crypto Coven picking it up and using it as some foundational tech or foundational protocol to help with their own lore.
The floor is really affordable, so I would definitely just scroll through the OpenSea and compare the properties to the faces. Just it's interesting. They're thoughtful, I find.
Just one more drop that I'm also part of is called Human Park. That's also one of the big games from VHS Net right now. It's coming out. I just launched the subscription page. So Discord just launched yesterday. So it's super early. I can't say a lot about it, but I'm helping out a lot on the engineering front in this game as well.
Human Park is about 3 things. 1 redacted, 2 redacted on the Twitter. Very mysterious. Oh, the Instagram has a little more, though. Interesting.
Yeah, we actually got banned on Twitter recently. We have no idea. We think it's just we had we answered a lot of DMs, responded with invites of Discords, and the other possibility is that we would use some fake nudes, mannequins. So we don't know what actually triggered it, but it's a fun. We're creating a meme about it now too.
All right, what do we say, Tim?
I think we would call it. Yeah, this is a really great 2 hours, though. I don't know if the Loot Explorers team is still on, but again, back to you guys from the get-go. Thank you for sharing. Everyone's been really excited about seeing that launch for the past couple of months, so super cool to see it. Public launch tomorrow, I think, in 12 hours or so. Public event for everybody. HyperLoot crew, thank you so much for everything you're doing for this community. Everybody else on here who's bringing your energy and your excitement and your intellect to this whole movement. This is an experiment in collaborative community building and collaborative world building, and just an MVP for the future of human collaboration, maybe, or at least collaboration in this crazy world of the Hyperverse. So thanks for joining us today. Hopefully this recording worked, and if not, this was a one-of-one, but hopefully somebody here recorded this. And thanks to Andrew, too, just for being the backbone of this whole crew.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, everyone, for joining as well. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Bye.